Welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm Adam Mariancho, and these are my win-loss picks for Week 13. It's Monday, so time to look ahead, but first, we take a look back at Week 12, tell you where I was right, where I was wrong. My record, not too bad in Week 12. I go 10-3. The three games I got incorrect were the Chiefs against the Colts. That one did go into overtime. I also took the Cardinals over the Jaguars. That game also went into overtime. And then the only big outright game I got wrong was New Orleans over the Falcons. The Falcons had that one pretty much clinched. The Saints weren't really competitive in that game. So otherwise, 10 other games all correct. And these are your picks. On the screen, we have all the poll results, all of the outcomes, every W and L. And someone in the comments asked, why don't I show you my picks along with yours at the same time? So let's try that out. I have the joint emoji. That's the blunt pick. My selection is on the screen, but doesn't always align with y'all. This week we had 4 that we disagreed on. Let's go through the slate, show you which games those were. On Thursday, I was right, y'all were wrong. Y'all took Buffalo at 77%, and I told you Houston was going to be a tough out, and they were the correct pick. I was right on that one. So I picked up a game on Thursday. We both agreed on New England. Y'all took them at 83%. They didn't cover, but did win. That's all that matters. The Bears did beat Pittsburgh. They almost lost. They almost gave up enough points to Mason Rudolph, but they did come out with the victory. They also covered the spread. Good for Chicago. I thought they would win. Y'all agreed at a 65% clip. We also took the Packers at a pretty high rate, 75-25, so 3-1, and I was right on Green Bay as well. In Kansas City, we both agreed on Indianapolis, and that game did go into overtime, but like I mentioned earlier, incorrect, so y'all take the L at 57%. Most of y'all were wrong on the Colts. In Tennessee, the Seahawks didn't cover, but y'all agreed with me at 94%. Seattle was the pick. That was correct. They did get the W over Tennessee, but the Ravens got the dub over the Jets, 91%, and I agreed. That one was a no-brainer. But Detroit, that one was close. That was also an overtime game that thankfully did go in our favor. We were both correct at 87%. Y'all did take Detroit, but that one was close. The Lions are beatable. I don't know if they can beat the Packers on Thanksgiving, but we do have another disagreement here. The Cowboys was my pick. Meanwhile, y'all took Philly at 63%. Most of y'all were incorrect, almost 2-1 on the Eagles. So I pick up yet another game. Right now, I only have 1 wrong. Y'all have 3, but on the week we do tie because I did lose 2 in the next 5 games. So I took Arizona, y'all took Jacksonville, and that game was an overtime victory, but by Jacksonville, not what I thought. So I lose a game, and then Cleveland did win, as most of us expected, 69%. Nice. Most of us were on Cleveland, but I did lose this third one against Atlanta. Y'all took the Falcons. Y'all were right at 53%. This one was the closest poll on the week, and I was on the wrong side of it. At 47%, I took New Orleans, and we were wrong, but most of y'all were right. So those two, the Jaguars and Saints, make up for my picks, the Texans and the Cowboys. However, the Rams, we agreed at 76%. They were the correct side. They beat the Bucks pretty bad. But tonight we are in agreement again, 74-26. I am taking San Francisco, and most of y'all agree. So this week we will tie. We're either going 10-4 or 11-3, but pretty solid record this week. I wish I got those 2 that we disagreed on. The Cardinals and Saints. At least that Jaguars game. If I had just gotten that one, I would have picked up 2 games on y'all. But sadly, nope, not this time. So on the season, y'all are 116-57-4. Meanwhile, I am 110-66-1. So I'm still 6 correct back. And there's not that much time left. We only have 6 weeks. I need to average at least 1 more than y'all just to be dead even on the season on correct games. So I might feel the pressure, but at the moment, I'm not going to make a change. I'm taking San Francisco, and I think that's the right call. So we are in agreement tonight. We will have the same record on this game. But against the spread, I also make some picks every week, and this week wasn't too bad. At least at the moment, I am currently 3-2. And right now, my favorites are the ones that let me down. The Seahawks did not cover, minus 12.5, went up to 13.5 by the weekend, was never the right side. The Titans only lost by 6 points. So Seattle let me down. The Patriots also let me down, only won by 6. They were 7-point favorites, and that one was a bit tough to swallow. I was pissed about the Patriots one, but my underdogs all proved me right. They didn't all win outright, but they at least covered. I took the Colts plus 3.5. That overtime hook was valuable. And then for the Browns, they won comfortably. So always the correct side. The underdogs did cover. And then lastly, I also took Dallas plus 4.5 at halftime. That didn't feel like the right side, but by the end of the game, I chose the right team and my underdogs did cover. But I do have my 6th pick of the week tonight, and I did take San Francisco minus 6.5. Hopefully I go 4-2. I'm really hoping I'm not wrong about this, but ideally I pick up another game. I'm still below 500 on the year. I'm 33-38 right now, and I would love an extra win. So that's it for the recap. Now let's move on to week 13 and the slate of all the games. There are no teams on bye, so 16 games of really good set of matchups here. A lot of fun games, and I see a lot of upsets as well. So no time to waste. Let's begin in Detroit on Thanksgiving, where the Lions are hosting Green Bay. Unfortunately for Detroit, they don't really show up on Thanksgiving. They don't have a good record in the last decade on Thanksgiving. They are 3-7 in their last 10 games. And if you just look at the Dan Campbell era, the last 4 years, they're 1-3. And one of the most memorable losses of his campaign is against Green Bay 2 years ago, when the Packers came out lights out, guns a-blazing, started off first play of the game, a big catch from Christian Watson down the field. So I could see a similar outcome here. I'm worried that the Lions really don't have a good defense. They almost lost to Jameis Winston last week. If the Giants had kicked the field goal to go up 6, perhaps they wouldn't have even gotten into overtime. So Gibbs was the difference maker, but if we go back to week 1, Gibbs was a no-show. The Lions ran for 2.5 yards per carry against the Packers in week 1. We thought the Green Bay defense was going to be the best in the league after that game. Both teams have kind of averaged out. However, the Packers, I think, have a secret weapon in their back pocket. Jaden Reed, I think, will play. He was practicing Friday, and his recovery timeline should have had him back a couple weeks ago. They've been very cautious with Jaden Reed. So I think they've played it very close to the vest because their division matchups mean so much, and because they have that tie against Dallas. If they don't win the division, then these two teams might be tied at 10 wins, and the Packers could bounce Detroit with the tiebreaker, that tie to Dallas. Only 6 losses if they finish 10-6-1. So Detroit needs this win. I'm really worried about their chances of not just the division, but even the playoff picture if they lose this game. They probably are still fine, but I don't think they get it done. I think they're going to be losing one and winning one every other week here, and I like the Packers in this game. The Lions just don't really win consistently on Thanksgiving. I don't think that changes. Give me the trends to repeat. Lions lose against Green Bay. The Packers will win just like week 1. Their defense limits the run game enough where the Lions just can't come back and get the W. Campbell's play calling will be their kryptonite. They go for it on 4th down when they should just kick a field goal, and they end up losing by a field goal. Give me the Packers on the road in a close game. On Thanksgiving, the Lions lose at home yet again. In Dallas, the Cowboys are hosting Kansas City. The Chiefs proved me wrong last week. A close win over the Colts, but honestly not that impressive. They needed overtime, and they almost coughed that game up with some turnovers. Mahomes didn't look too elite, but I did underestimate Rashee Rice a bit in that matchup, and against Dallas, their secondary isn't quite impressive. So although the Cowboys defense is playing much better right now, I would expect the Chiefs offense to look pretty good, but they're not the same team on the road this year. Most of their losses are on the road, and I don't think they get the benefit of the doubt like they do at home. The Colts should have won last week. They just couldn't close it out. The Chiefs had a lot of mistakes. If they make those mistakes again, it's not going to go well. So the Cowboys, I think, are potentially a playoff team. If they get to 10-6-1, same factor with Green Bay, they could bounce a team with a tiebreaker, only 6 losses. So Cowboys are sneaky. I don't think they're out just yet, And if they only have one loss rest of year, I think they will make the playoffs at 10-6-1. But this game is so critical. If they lose this one, I don't think they get over 9-7-1. And I think this game kind of decides the outcome of their year. So hopefully for them, it goes in their direction, and I'm going to take them to win. I think the Cowboys are legit. Their defense looks much better. And I know it's not like a measurable statistic, but I think the loss of Marshawn Kneeland really galvanizes the locker room in terms of connecting every individual, and the discipline level might be at an all-time high. I think when something like that happens, you want to show up for each other and hold each other accountable. The Cowboys have a really good vibe going, and I think their locker room knows they can beat anyone in the league. They beat the Super Bowl champs last week, and at home on Thanksgiving, I think on a short rest, the traveling road team going to have a rough time. So that's my pick. The Cowboys win on Thanksgiving against Mahomes. In Baltimore, the Ravens are hosting Cincinnati, and this is an interesting game because Burrow, I think, will return, and Jamar Chase will be healthy. But on the road, anything can happen. On Thanksgiving, I could see the Ravens defense really show up. They've been amazing in the last few weeks, but last week they did trail to the Jets at one point, and the offense just doesn't quite look the same like what we remember. Lamar Jackson not scrambling as much, and without that aspect of the run game, I don't know if Derrick Henry is the same guy anymore. So if they don't have Rashad Bateman for another week, then the elite upside in the passing game just isn't quite there, and I do expect Burrow with Jamar Chase healthy to play lights out. The Ravens have a tricky schedule. There's still a lot of division games left, and these next 3 weeks, they have 2 against the Bengals, 1 against the Steelers, and they have to go at least 1-2. Obviously, they would like to go 3-0, but I don't think they're even going to go 2-1. I think they're losing to the Steelers next week, and I think they're splitting the series with the Bengals. The Bengals offense with Burrow will be too much. Give me Cincinnati on the road at Baltimore. The Bengals season will be over if they don't get this win. But if they do, the division still is up for grabs and their season still has some hope left. I expect that storyline to continue, and I expect the Bengals to keep their season alive. Give me Cincinnati. I doubt they run the table, but at least they win and at least keep their hopes alive that the division is so open. At 9 wins, they can sneak in with some tiebreakers. But Cincy, I think, gets the job done here. Give me the Bengals over the Ravens. But in Philadelphia on Friday, Black Friday on Amazon, the Eagles are hosting Chicago, and the Eagles offense does not look well at the moment. They were up 21-0, had 24 unanswered points on them, and they lost to Dallas pretty embarrassingly, if you ask me. I'm not quite sure why they didn't run the ball more, but against Chicago, a team that always runs the ball, I don't really know how this game is going to go. It's a clear toss-up, in my opinion. The Bears, I think, are still slept on. The game is going to be very close, and it wouldn't shock me if the Eagles' defense just limits them so much that it's never in question the Eagles could cruise. But I don't trust Caleb Williams to ever throw interceptions. He just doesn't turn it over, and he's not getting sacked anywhere near as much this year. So the Bears are legit. I know people still sleep on them. The line on this game does not give Chicago any credit. They're 7-point underdogs, and I think they're much better than that. So this game is a close one, and I think because of all of the dynamics at play, I think the Bears will win this division. This game is going to be critical for that to happen. Meanwhile, the Eagles, if they collapse, could even get bounced by Dallas in their own division. So Eagles not playing great football right now. I don't trust their offense. They're winning on defense, and I don't think they drop more than 20 points in this matchup. Give me the Chicago Bears. I think it's a toss-up. I'm going to take Caleb. The team of destiny this season, Ben Johnson, I think, is a safer play caller than what they got in Philly right now. So give me Patullo to fuck it up. Give me Chicago to beat Jalen Hurts. I do not trust the Eagles' offense right now, and I assume the narratives in the media in Philly are only going to make the vibes in the locker room worse. They are going to lose this game. They've collapsed in the past after coming off a Super Bowl appearance. I think it will happen again. Eagles may max out at 11 wins. As long as they get to 11, they'll win the division, but they can afford to lose a few more games and still be fine in that NFC East. It's not that difficult to advance. So I'll take Chicago. The Bears win, and I think they are going to win that division. So give me Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson on the road on Black Friday. In Cleveland, an interesting matchup here. Shedeur Sanders versus Brock Purdy. And the weather is a big deal in this one. I looked it up. The temperature forecast is below 40 degrees. And there's also some wind and rain expected on Sunday in Cleveland. So because it's that cold, it could be even colder than the forecast predicts. And that means it might be snowing. I don't trust Brock Purdy in bad weather. He's not the same player. He tenses up. He doesn't have a good record in bad weather matchups. And because of their kicking, I don't trust Matt Gay either to kick those field goals through the uprights. So I'm really worried about San Francisco in this matchup. The Browns have a good defense. The home field advantage is legit. And if they have a deep threat capability, that's what their offense is really missing. Shedeur Sanders might be the missing piece to have some elite upside on offense. So I'm a bit worried about San Francisco right now. Their run game isn't that effective lately, and McCaffrey has slipped up just a few times. So the Niners, I think, would be sleeping on this opponent more often than not. Meanwhile, the Browns might treat it like their Super Bowl, and with Shedeur fighting for his job and his career, I think the Browns are going to be a tough out this week. So I'm going to call upset again. I've literally called upset in the first 5 picks this week, but I'm taking it with reckless abandon, and I feel kind of confident it's going to happen. I do not trust Purdy in bad weather, and I think the Browns are a very frisky 3-8 team. Give me the Browns with the win at home. Weather's going to help them. It'll be a close margin of victory, but I will take Cleveland straight up over the Niners. In Tennessee, the Titans played better than I thought against Seattle last week. They actually only lost by 6 points. But in division, the Jags know them much better, and I doubt the Jags will sleep on this game. Maybe I'm really underestimating the Jags' capacity to shit the bed. But last week I thought that would happen. They proved me wrong, and I'm coming around. I do think the Jags are going to find a way into the playoff picture. They have a tiebreaker over the Chargers and the Chiefs, and I think one of those two teams will get bounced. As long as the Jags get to 10 wins, they will make the playoffs. So they're almost there, and a game against Tennessee is definitely a winnable one. It might be a close call on the road, always tricky in division, but let's take Jacksonville. I have not seen enough from the Titans to trust them. They have no real coaching to trust, and Liam Cohen has been getting it done one way or the other. At some point, Brian Thomas Jr. will come back, but even if he doesn't, Jacoby Myers can get the job done. They got Brenton Strange back, and I do think that covers their ass pretty well. So Jacksonville is my pick. I'm not going to go against the grain here. Let's take the easy favorite to at least win straight up. They might not cover this week, but the Jags, I think, will beat the Titans. In Indianapolis, another AFC South division matchup. The Colts are hosting Houston, and the Texans are a tough out. Just ask Josh Allen, but that game was in Houston. I don't know if they'll play as well on the road in Indy. So the Colts are in the driver's seat, but it could get tricky. They still have a few divisional matchups left, and it's possible they do shit the bed and have a collapse. But if you look at Jonathan Taylor's game log in his career against Houston, other than week 1 last year, he owns them. They rarely shut down Jonathan Taylor, and given this matchup is at home, I would assume he goes nuclear on the Texans. So I'm going to trust Taylor, the best player on the field. I don't know if CJ Stroud is coming back. He should, given he had a concussion like 3+ weeks ago. He's probably back. But honestly, they went 3-0 with Davis Mills. They didn't have anywhere close to that record with Stroud. They might be a little better on offense with Davis Mills. Not going to lie, I don't think Stroud is that much better than Davis Mills right now. So could be a weird game. I think I'm going to trust the Colts, though. I think they have the better roster overall. And I don't know if Jaden Higgins' connection with Stroud will translate like it was with Davis Mills. Jaden Higgins is the X factor. That's the missing piece. But overall, I think the Colts defense will hold strong. And as long as Nico Collins doesn't burn Sauce Gardner and Charvarius Ward, then I don't trust the Texans to come back and score enough on offense. I expect Taylor to grab the lead, and even if they're trailing, the best player will find a way. Give me the Colts and Jonathan Taylor over the Texans in division. I doubt the Colts win on the road, though, but at home, I'll take them over Houston. In Miami, the Dolphins are hosting the Saints, and they're also coming off a bye. I thought the Saints would look good off a bye, and they lost to the Falcons with no Drake London. So the Saints also lost Alvin Kamara. Their run game is kind of non-existent, and I don't think Tyler Shuck impressed me enough last week to really trust them to overcome adversity. So on the road at the Dolphins, always a tough spot to play, and weather could be a factor here. Sometimes the heat does get to opponents. The Dolphins off the bye might get Darren Waller back, and their run game should cover them. I doubt Tua throws too many interceptions here. He's been cleaning it up a little bit more lately. And then the Dolphins defense has actually impressed me. They've played pretty well as of late. So they beat the Commanders, they beat the Bills, they beat the Falcons, and the Falcons just beat the Saints. I think the Dolphins can win at home over New Orleans. So back in the summer, I actually picked the Dolphins to lose this game, but I thought they'd be a top 5 draft pick type of franchise this year. Given some of their wins recently, I think at worst, Mike McDaniel probably gets fired, but is coaching for his next job and is putting up a very good game plan week in, week out. They have looked pretty good, pretty competitive as of late. So I'll take the Dolphins. I think they are better than the Saints. Not by a lot. I don't feel great about this pick, but I think at home, that's what puts it in their favor. The tiebreaker goes to Miami. I'll take the Dolphins over the Saints. In New York, the Jets are hosting the Falcons, and the Falcons are such an enigma. I believed in them entirely back in the summer. I picked them to win the division and go 10-7, advance, but lose in the playoffs in the wild card round. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're winning the division. But every time I count them out and think they're done, they win. And then every time I'm like guaranteeing a win, I really believe in them, they shit the bed. They don't show up at all. So I really don't know what to make of them. They are not trustworthy, but because Kirk Cousins is under center, I think they have like a higher floor on offense. And if you tell me Drake London comes back, then this is an automatic win. There's a chance they shit the bed just because they are the Falcons and they can always choke it away. But against Tyrod Taylor and the Jets, it feels like a lock to be a win. Anything can happen. Even the Jets hung around against the Ravens last week, but against the Falcons, given that division's up for grabs and the Bucs are vulnerable right now, I will take them. I'll take the Falcons over the Jets to get the win. That should be the outcome. I doubt the Jets will beat Bijan Robinson. It should be a Bijan game. And even if London isn't active, they should win. Give me the Falcons over the Jets. But in Tampa, another NFC South division rival, not looking too hot right now. Really a bad game with Teddy Bridgewater against the Rams. But the Rams are much better than the Cardinals. They should look better against Arizona. But I'm not convinced that Baker will play given his sling. They at least want to protect him for a while. And given how their season is going, I think it's much more important that they win the division than fight for a wildcard team. As long as they win the division, everything sorts itself out. As long as they get those tiebreakers against Carolina and maybe even the Falcons. I doubt that plays a factor, but I guess it is still relevant. They have a game left against the Falcons. As long as those ones are wins, then every other game kind of doesn't matter. And this one would fall into that category. I think they can sleep on this game and advance to the next week and just get away with it. I think the Cardinals, meanwhile, are really fighting for their life, and I expect them to get Trey Benson this week. So even if the Bucs get Bucky Irving, I don't think it'll work out for them. I'm going to take the Cardinals on the road. I think Arizona is going to be a tough out, and there is also a chance that Marvin Harrison Jr. could return. I doubt it. I'm going to bet on just Trey Benson, but Trey McBride will be a nightmare to cover as always, and as long as Teddy Bridgewater gets the start, I will trust Jacoby Brissett more than Teddy B. The Bucs looked inept last week with Bridgewater. The Brissett Cardinals actually look much better than they did with Kyler Murray. So I'll call upset. I'll take the road team. Give me Arizona over the Buccaneers. But if Bucky Irving and Baker Mayfield play, I would definitely swap my pick. As long as Baker doesn't play, I think Arizona will beat the Bucs, even if Bucky Irving is active. But there are some rumors that Bucky has more than just his foot injury going on. He might not be back, even though they claimed he would this week. It's not a lock. I will take the Cardinals with Trey Benson over the Buccaneers in Tampa. Give me the road team in this one. But another NFC South division rival takes on the Rams, and just like Tampa, they are not going to know what hit them. The Rams are so much better than Carolina. The Panthers are frisky. The Panthers are underrated, but I don't think teams are sleeping on them as much anymore, and the element of surprise not going to be enough against the Rams here. So the Rams on the East Coast sometimes shit the bed, but their offense isn't banged up or injured. Even without Rob Havenstein, their left tackle, they should cruise to victory. The Rams will win over Carolina. They have the tiebreaker now over Philly, that extra game, and as long as they can hold them off, they will be the 1 seed. I expect them to win the division and get a playoff bye. A win against a team like this is a big reason why. Give me the Rams over the Panthers. A pretty easy pick, if you ask me. But Seattle is hosting Minnesota, and the Vikings really regret passing on Darnold. I would assume, based on J.J. McCarthy's production this year, he has 9 interceptions in just 6 games. So the Vikings are not ready for primetime anymore. Meanwhile, Darnold looks great in Seattle. Even though he's a bit turnover prone at times, the Seahawks are so much better than the Vikings this year. So in Seattle, everything goes in their favor. I don't trust McCarthy against that Seahawks defense. There's a variable here that Brian Flores knows all the weaknesses of Darnold because they coached him last year. Maybe Kevin O'Connell has the playbook on Darnold, but I doubt he gets exposed entirely. I doubt McCarthy plays better than him, and I really doubt that that offense sputters enough to even move the needle. So I will take Seattle. That's an obvious pick in my opinion. They should cruise to victory, and Darnold will get revenge. This is the revenge game of the year, in my opinion. The biggest blowout. The Seahawks will beat the Vikings in Seattle on Sunday. In Pittsburgh, the Steelers are hosting Buffalo, and Steelers defense has shown up tremendously well at home this year. A lot of turnovers forced when they play in Pittsburgh, but the Bills are coming off an embarrassing loss to Davis Mills, and their offense might get right, but is hard to trust. I could see another upset here, but I'm not going to pick that. The Bills with extra time to prep should be much more sharp on offense. I trust Josh Allen to be good enough against Pittsburgh. Their old veteran defense not going to be able to tackle him when he starts to scramble and run all over them. So James Cook going to have a big house call. I don't trust the Steelers' run defense, and maybe there are too many fumbles where they do get the win, but I just don't trust Pittsburgh over Buffalo, especially with Mason Rudolph. It feels really unlikely. I don't expect Rodgers to be back. It's possible, but I doubt it. And I just don't think the Bills will cough this game up. So maybe it goes sideways, but I'm going to take Buffalo. I don't think they're losing to Pittsburgh. So I'll take Josh Allen, not going to bet on Mason Rudolph. I ultimately do not think Pittsburgh will be a playoff team. I don't think they win their division. So an L for the Steelers, and then the Chargers are hosting Las Vegas on Sunday afternoon, and this is a kind of must win when you consider the lack of tiebreakers the Chargers have against some other playoff teams. Are they going to have a better record than the Bills? Doubt it. Are they going to have a better record than the Jags? Not so sure anymore. Now that the Jags beat the Cardinals, they don't have the tiebreaker on Jacksonville. And then they still have division games against Denver. That'll be a tough game. They have another game against the Chiefs on the road. That'll be tough. And if they lose to the Chiefs, then only the division record would give them the tiebreaker there. So I'm really worried that the Chargers get bounced by Kansas City in the wild card spot. I don't think they'll catch Denver. And this game is pretty critical when you factor in the overall division records being the tiebreaker over Kansas City. So this is a must win. That game against Jacksonville was such an embarrassing loss. I can't fully trust them, but I'm expecting Omarion Hampton back. And ultimately, Jim Harbaugh, I don't think is going to lose off a bye to Pete Carroll, his arch nemesis. He wants to get the win, and this is so critical. In division, it is worth more than just one game. It's also a tiebreaker. So give me the Chargers. Even without Hampton, they'll get the job done. At home over the Raiders, the Chargers better fucking win. But sometimes when coaches get fired, teams really play better the next week. And Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator, just left the Raiders. Maybe their offense looks much better, but I doubt it. Geno Smith looked dog shit against the Chargers back in week 2. I think he will again. This time in SoFi Stadium, no chance. I'm taking Geno. Give me Justin Herbert to bounce back after an abysmal game 2 weeks ago at Jacksonville. I'm taking the Chargers. Bolt up, baby. You better fucking win. But Sunday night, we have the Commanders hosting Denver, and both teams are off a bye. And they did mention a chance that Jaden Daniels would return this season, but not expecting it, not until late December. And odds are, given their record, they don't bring him back. They probably keep Daniels out until 2026. So if it's Mariota, this is a no-brainer. The Broncos are obviously the pick. Might be a closer game than we think because sometimes Bo Nix shits the bed, but he does find a way, and the Broncos defense ultimately is just so much better than what the Commanders defense can put up. So the Broncos might get Pat Surtain healthy. They're really a deadly defensive line. A lot of sacks in this one. I don't trust Mariota against the Broncos. Give me Denver to cruise. They will remain at just 2 losses. I expect Denver to either get the 1 or the 2 seed this year in the AFC. This is a clear win for Denver. But in New England, the Patriots are hosting the Giants on Monday night, last game of the week. And there's a lot of history between the Giants and the Patriots. But Mike Vrabel's Patriots are not the same old team, and they want this win as just another symbolic victory that reminds the fan base we are back to championship caliber. We are not losing to bad teams anymore. So the Patriots have rarely been tested this year, but even with Jackson Dart, I don't think this is a big test. So I will take New England. I trust Drake May and Mike Vrabel to get the job done. The Giants don't have the coaching to overcome this adversity. The Patriots might have the best run defense in the league, and if Singletary and Tyron Tracy don't contribute, I don't trust Jackson Dart to scramble his way to victory either. They will shut down the run game of the Giants, and they will win pretty comfortably. Give me New England over the Giants on Monday night. So these are my picks this week, all 16 games. There are no teams on bye Thanksgiving week. We got some good, fun matchups. On Thanksgiving Day, we have the Lions hosting Green Bay. I'm taking the Packers with their secret weapon, Jaden Reed, to call upset. I think they will sweep Detroit. The Lions have a losing record on Thanksgiving with Dan Campbell. They lose their second Thanksgiving matchup against the Packers in 3 years. But I'm also calling upset with Dallas. The Cowboys are hosting Kansas City, and the Chiefs are not the same team on the road. And the Chiefs, I don't think, will get over 10 wins. This is a critical game to potentially keep them out of the playoffs. They will lose to the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. In Baltimore, though, the Lamar Jackson offense is not as deadly this year, and with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase coming back, the Bengals, with their season on the line, will get the win in division. Give me Cincinnati on the road on Thanksgiving over the Ravens. But in Philadelphia on Black Friday, the Bears offense is rolling, and the Eagles are not going to know what hit them. That locker room is not quite connected, and with no Lane Johnson, they will not run the ball well enough to keep the Bears off the field. They'll have the lead, and just like the Dallas Cowboys game, they'll lose it. Chicago will win on Black Friday. Give me the Bears over the Eagles. In Cleveland, the weather will be a problem for Brock Purdy, and their kicking game is pretty suspect now. Give me the Browns and Shadur Sanders to get the win over the Niners. In Tennessee, the Titans are better, but not good enough. Give me Jacksonville to stay in the playoff picture with a win in division at the Titans. In Indianapolis, the Colts lean on Jonathan Taylor, and the Texans are not good enough. Jonathan Taylor will get the win on his own. The Colts beat the Texans in Indianapolis. In Miami, the Dolphins off a bye have a better defense than you might think, and the Saints just lost Kamara. The Dolphins win over New Orleans. In New York, the Jets are not better than the Falcons. Bijan Robinson gets the W alongside Kirk Cousins. The Falcons get the win. In Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers are going to rest Baker Mayfield most likely, and even with Bucky Irving, the Cardinals will be better. They get Trey Benson back, and Brissett will beat Teddy Bridgewater. Arizona over Tampa Bay, they get the win on the road. The Carolina Panthers are hosting the Rams, and the Rams just way too good. The Rams get the win. Stafford still does not throw a pick yet again. In Seattle, the Vikings are going to regret passing on Sam Darnold. They regret betting on J.J. McCarthy. Darnold crushes his former team, the best revenge game of the year. In Pittsburgh, the Steelers defense shows up, but not enough. Josh Allen finds a way, and they get the win on the road. The Bills over Steelers in Week 13. But the Chargers have to win. They fucking better, and they will beat Pete Carroll. Jim Harbaugh, with the return of Marion Hampton, gets the win over the Raiders. But in Washington, the Commanders not going to have enough. Pat Surtain returns, and Denver beats Mariota. The Broncos win on the road. And then last game of the week, the Patriots are hosting the Giants, and the Patriots get revenge from those Super Bowl losses. The Mike Vrabel Patriots are better than New York. Those are my win-loss picks. A lot of road teams and a lot of upsets. I think this week is a bad week to be betting favorites. So let's show you my 6 picks against the spread before I leave you. And I like a lot of underdogs. Like I mentioned, 5 underdogs this week and 1 favorite. I am taking all 3 underdogs on Thanksgiving. I like the Packers to win. The Lions have a losing record on Thanksgiving. And with Jaden Reed, that offense will play well. I trust their defense to also limit Jahmyr Gibbs enough to hold them back and keep the lead all game long. Give me Green Bay plus 2.5 to go into Detroit and not just cover, but win straight up. I like them money line as well. But another money line pick I'm going to take against the spread is Dallas over the Chiefs. They're underdogs by just a field goal, and their defense has really stepped up as of late. Their offense will play much better than the Colts did last week. I trust Dak Prescott more than I trust Daniel Jones. And George Pickens is kind of unguardable right now. So if Lamb doesn't drop enough passes to cough up the game, then Dallas will be very competitive. I think this is a very close game, and I think it will be less than a field goal margin, but I do trust Dallas this week. I think they will win, not just cover. So let's take them plus 3. I like that pick quite a bit, but maybe I'm just a Chiefs hater. Maybe you don't like it as much as I do, but I love this one on Thanksgiving evening. The Bengals in division getting more than a touchdown. I love this pick. I took them money line, so I think this is the best value you can get. Plus 295 for the Bengals to beat the Ravens straight up. But this is the against the spread segment, so let's stick to the point spread. And more than a touchdown, I would take that all day as long as Joe Burrow gets the start. If it's Flacco, I'm not so sure, but he did just cover a 7-point spread against the Patriots, and the Patriots offense I think is a bit safer to bet on right now than the Ravens. So the Bengals defense is hard to trust, but I don't think Burrow will let this game slip away. At the very least, it'll be a close victory if the Ravens can't tough it out. But I think the Bengals win straight up, so definitely give them to cover. Plus 7.5 all day long. Burrow and the points is my pick. No doubt about it. But I also like the Bears, not just to cover, but to win straight up. And they're also touchdown underdogs on Friday. So I don't trust the Eagles offense right now. The Bears defense is a bit suspect, but I'm expecting them to get Jalen Johnson back. Their top corner should be available. And if he limits AJ Brown, that offense might be dog shit. So love Chicago as a 7-point underdog. At the very least, they will cover, but I think they can win straight up. They've been in a lot of close games this year. I think the line should be like 3.5. I like Chicago. I understand why they're not favored, but especially getting 7 points all day, give me Caleb Williams plus 7. But the last underdog I like to win straight up is Cleveland. They are also getting roughly a touchdown, and I do think you can wait on this game and get a better line later in the week. Just like last week, the Niners are 6.5 points favorites on Monday, and by the end of the week, by the time kickoff happens, I think this line will close where the Browns are getting more than a touchdown. So if I was smart, I would wait on this bet, but I make these picks on Monday, so got to take the number that is on the slate right now. I am calling upset. I think Shedeur Sanders will beat Brock Purdy straight up, but plus 6.5 at the very least, that should be a good pick. I'm confident it will work out. All my underdogs last week worked out. None of my favorites did. Let's lean into that and just take a shit ton of underdogs this week. So all 5 of these teams getting points, I think, will win the game outright, but at the very least are good picks against the spread. And then lastly, my favorite I think will cover is Seattle. Last week they burned me. I thought they would beat the Titans well enough, but that did not happen. So it might happen again, but against the Vikings, I think Sam Darnold will get his revenge. And I wish this number was 9.5, not 10.5, but I'll take Seattle to cover yet again. I think they're the much better team. Against J.J. McCarthy, I think that defense will really clamp down, and he's not going to play well enough to cover. So a close one, but I want at least one favorite. I'll take Seattle over Minnesota. So those are my picks this week. Tonight we took Carolina plus 7.5, but In week 13, we're taking Green Bay plus 2.5, the Cowboys plus 3, the Bengals plus 7.5, the Bears plus 7, the Browns plus 6.5, and lastly, Seattle minus 10.5. My only favorite is Seattle. That's it for me. I'm Adam Riancho, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Nice and blunt.